Hey guys, welcome to week 2 of fantasy football within the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I am your host, I guess. But before we start, just wanted to just say thank you. Thank you guys. I know this past 6 months hasn't been um, what I would have expected my life to look like in regards to brain surgery and everything. So just wanted to reach out and say thank you guys. Thank you guys for your support of me during that time. Thank you for thoughts, prayers, well wishes, everything. Thank you guys. It means the world to me, more than you guys could ever know. Um, Thank you for this dope jersey. I love it. It's clean. It is so cool. So again, thank you guys so much. And let's get on with the show. But first, I kind of want to show off my view. This is where I live. I love it. It's incredible. Yeah. And that's just one of my views. This is overlooking downtown Minneapolis. Here's yeah, that's my view there. There's U.S. Bank, right there. Target Field, right over here. Target Center's like over here. I've got a great place. I'm going to do something a little unique. I know usually we do power rankings and stuff, but this week I'm actually going to sort us into tiers. I'm looking at teams, and power rankings are hard just because it's week 1, and it's like, boy, yeah, Marcus at 12 and Nate at the 1, but like, I don't know. It's week 1, things can be fluky, so I think I'd rather sort us by tiers, and so you'll see how those work out. So tier 1 is the beer tier. That means if your team does not get better in any way possible, you better start drinking beer and getting ready for a beer mile. I think the team that is universally placed in the beer tier, there are two. The first one is Connor. I'm sorry, man, but looking at your team, it just doesn't inspire fear. If I'm looking at it and I am realizing I'm playing against David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, and the wide receivers I have to deal with are Jerry Jeudy and Garrett Wilson and Devonta Smith, or whomever you put in your flex, I'm not frightened by that. I go, okay, and then I feel like my team can beat you. Second team in the beer tier, I would put Dr. Matthew Mokel. I don't know if your draft was just kind of thrown off. Sometimes that happens in drafts, but your team just isn't exciting to me except for Brock Bowers and Jamar Chase. You've got those two, but your starting QB is Kyler Murray for what is probably the third time in as many years. Ricky Pearsall as your number 2 wide receiver is he'd be a better flex, but you've got Aaron Jones in your flex, which doesn't make sense to me. Trevion Henderson as your second RB and Kamara as your first. It's just like, Matt, get ready for the beer mile, man, unless you make some changes. The second tier I have is this team would be good if the year was 2021. When I'm looking at this team, I think, wow, this team really could have been something 3 years ago, but looking at them now, they are just, it's fine, but I don't think it's a league-winning team by any stretch of the means. With the first team being in that tier is Logie. Logan, you know I love you, but looking at your team, James Conner would have been great 4 years ago. James Cook, very good last year. We'll see if he continues it. T. Higgins, very good, again, 3 years ago. Malik Neighbors, awesome rookie year. Obviously, that doesn't apply to him. But Hunter Henry, again, good 3-4 years ago. DJ Moore, good 3-4 years ago. Justin Herbert, good 3-4 years ago. It's just your team is good, but not in this current fantasy football world. If we had a time machine, they'd be incredible. The second team I would put in this tier, I would put Mark. Mark, I think you've got one of the best 1-2 punches in Lamar Jackson and Saquon Barkley, but the rest of your team just needs a time machine. Austin Eckler, if you could have gotten him 3 years ago and like in his prime, you'd be unstoppable. Debo Samuel, same thing. TJ Hawkinson, same thing. Jonnu Smith, the exact same thing. You've got these good guys, but I don't know if they're enough to carry you to the promised land. Next tier I have is the tier that is, it's a good team if the year was 2025. Meaning that they're a good team, but are they a great team? Are they enough to win it all? Are they enough to really take it to the next level? And as much as I would like to put myself in that S tier, that fear tier, I fully recognize that I am not there. My team is not there yet. There could be some things that change, some trades or pickups, but as of right now, I put myself in this good, not great tier. I love Jaden Daniels, Josh Jacobs, great players. But when I look at my second RB being either Javonte Williams or Travis Etienne, I've seen those guys play in the past, and they're good, but they're not great. Amon-Ra St. Brown, consistently awesome. I'm hoping Tet McMillan really steps up. This year, I had to pick up Juwan Johnson because I lost Kittle for at least 4 weeks. But, my bench is Keenan Allen, Keon Coleman, Jalen Waddle. So I think I could be good, but I don't think as of right now I'm on that upper echelon tier. Second team I would put in that good, not great tier would be Grant. Grant, I think you've got a good team. I think, Terry McLaurin, Devon Achane, you've got Puka, you have Tyler Warren, your flex is Charbonnet, don't love it, but at the same time, Ken Walker isn't really doing much. Your bench is bad. I'm not going to beat around the bush there, but, it's a good team. It's not bad. It's not great. It's good. I'd put you in this good tier. You make some trades. I think you could really step it up. I don't know if you want to respond to my trade request. You should. But, you can just kind of, you're kind of standing water. You'll probably finish 500 unless you make some changes and make some shifts. Third team in the good, not great tier, I would put Marcus. I know it's a little bit of a shock considering he is number 12 out of 12 in our league. However, I think his team isn't bad. I think they just were low scoring, unfortunately, in week 1. Joe Burrow, good QB. I like Bucky Irving, JJ, Ladd McConkey, Travis Hunter as your flex. I think they could be a good team. The thing that doesn't catapult you into this next tier of where if they hit, they could be incredible and unstoppable is your second RB. Tony Pollard is good for now, but eventually Tajay Spears is going to come back. Your backup running backs are quite literally backup running backs. Najee Harris isn't going to be anything unless Omarion Hampton gets hurt. Brian Robinson is an elite handcuff, but again, he's not going to do anything unless CMC gets hurt, which will eventually happen, probably. But, again, it's a good team, but I don't think it's quite enough to put you over the top. The third tier I have is the holy crap, if this team hits, they're going to be incredible tier. I've got several teams in this tier. The first one, off the top of my head, though, that, when I was looking at their lineup really stood out to me is Chad. Chad, if your team hits, they're going to be unstoppable, dude. Dak, Chuba, Genty, Nico, Brian Thomas Jr., Trey McBride, George Pickens. I mean, that is such a good starting lineup. And if they, go off, you're going to score, 160 in a week. You're going to have such an awesome team. But that's a really big if. Granted, if they hit, and I think they will, you're looking at possibly a third belt. The second team in this tier, I know we gave him a lot of crap for auto-drafting, but Sam, if your team plays like they could be unstoppable. Breece Hall looked incredible. Justin Fields, if he plays at that level, league winner. Omarion Hampton is only going to get better. DK Metcalf is the only wide receiver, I think, in Pittsburgh that knows how to catch a ball, and if Aaron Rodgers continues to play like he does, unstoppable. CeeDee Lamb is CeeDee Lamb. Mark Andrews, I had him last year. He's hard to play, but it's also like he carries such a weight by his name and just starts all the time. So it's like, you gotta kind of take the lows with the highs. Cortland Sutton is going to be great. Sam, I think you could possibly make playoffs, maybe, but I mean that's only depending on if your team hits. Otherwise, you're going to end up in that beer tier. Team 3 in Tier 3. Spencer, I think that if your team hits, I mean, again, this tier is called if this team hits, they could be incredible. That is your team in a nutshell. If your team stays healthy and just plays to the best that they possibly could, no one's stopping you. Tyreek Hill could be a league winner, but he looks bad and looks grumpy and looks like just trash. A.J. Brown, I had him last year. Sometimes he has these weeks that he goes for like 175 and 2 touchdowns. And sometimes he has a week where he catches one pass and you're just like, I can't handle this. So you just kind of got to deal with it. Mahomes and Travis Kelce, if they hit, they could be great. But, like, it's so hard to tell. You know, they might just be old and kind of washed. Zay Flowers, again, if he hits, he's going to be incredible. But, again, it's just kind of this big boom, big bust. And if your team busts, Spencer, you're going to be in that beer tier as well with Matt and Connor and possibly Sam if his team busts. The final tier I call is the fear tier. The reason I call it that is because when I look at matchups and I look who I would be matching up one-on-one, do I have an advantage, do I not, I get scared. I fear it. And there are 2 teams in that tier. I'm sure you guys can do just some basic math of figuring out who else is remaining. But Brandon, you're in that fear tier, baby. Bo Nix, I think he had a rough week 1, but I think he's going to be a really solid, QB1 in this league. I don't think he's going to be, Jaden Daniels. I don't think he's going to be on a level of, let's say, those ones like Joe Burrow, but I mean, he's an upper level QB that I certainly would put above, Dak. Your running backs, Derrick Henry and Kyron. I mean, those are just 2 running backs that terrify me if I'm seeing them against me. Drake London, Mike Evans, Marvin Harrison Jr. Those are 3 awesome wide receivers. I don't know how they fell to you. Granted, Drake London was kept, but still, just incredible. David Njoku, awesome tight end. Your bench, solid bench. Cam Scatterbo, I love Kyle Pitts and Chris Olave, maybe. So, Brandon, you are in that fear tier, baby. The final team, Nate. Congrats on making it to the fear tier. Your team is terrifying. To look against your team last week and see that I was going up against Josh Allen, Bijan, Chase Brown, Devontae Adams, JSN, Laporta, and Emeka Ibuka. Even before I saw the results, I was already scared, but post seeing those results and seeing what they can do against me, I'm terrified of your team. I think your team is solid across the board. As long as everyone stays healthy, you're looking at your first championship, my man. You've got a solid team. And that is it for my tiers. I hope you guys appreciated that little bit of a change. Again, power rankings this early on, hard to do, but let's get into matchups. First matchup I've got, Touchdown My Pants against Show Me Your TDs, Grant and Marcus. Looking at your team, I think it could go either way, honestly. I think the Marcus has the QB advantage. RBs are about the same. DeAndre Swift and Tony Pollard I'd put in the same tier. Devon Achane, Bucky Irving, same tier. JJ, Puka, same tier. Lat McConkey, Terry McLaurin, same tier. Tight end, I'll give that edge to Grant. Flex, I'll give that edge to Marcus. So I think it could go either way. But based on how I'm feeling, I think Marcus's team is due for some higher scoring, so I'm going to give that advantage to Marcus. Matchup number 2, Brandon and Matt. Considering I have Matt in the beer tier and Brandon in the fear tier, I don't really feel like I need to break it down into who I think is going to win the matchup, but just for kicks and giggles, Brandon, you have the advantage in QB with Bo Nix over Kyler. You have the advantage in running back with Derrick Henry and Kyron over Kamara and Travion Henderson. Matt, you have a single wide receiver tier advantage with Jamar Chase over, Drake London or Marvin Harrison Jr. or Mike Evans. However, Drake, your second wide receiver is Ricky Pearsall, whereas, Brandon's is either Drake London or Marvin Harrison Jr. or Mike Evans. He's got, these solid wide receivers. Tight end, if Brock Bowers plays, you've got that advantage. So, I could smell an upset. It could happen, but I'm giving that win to Brandon here. Matchup number 3, Sam and Connor. If I'm looking at player v. player and who's got the advantage, Connor, you definitely have the advantage with Jalen Hurts over Justin Fields and Jahmyr Gibbs over, almost any running back. But Sam with a combined of Breece Hall and Marion Hampton over David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, I think that's just, I think that's just a better 1-2 than a literal 1-2 punch in physical offense. Wide receivers, Sam has CeeDee Lamb and DK Metcalf. I'll take those two over just about any wide receiver duo in the league, especially Jerry Jeudy and Garrett Wilson. Tight end, Tucker Kraft, I have him in a different league. I had him last year. He's awesome. I really like that. Flex, Cortland Sutton, Devonta Smith. I think those two could go either way. I like Sutton more, personally. I'm going to give the W to Sam. Sorry, Con. Matchup number 4, Chad, Logan. Looking at just, again, positional, who's got the little bit of advantage, who's got it. Quarterbacks are about the same, Dak or Justin Herbert. I think that could go either way. Herbert is playing Vegas, Dak is playing the Giants. It could go either way. That's kind of a wash there. Running backs, I honestly would put them about the same. Chuba Hubbard and Ashton Genty against James Conner and James Cook. Again, that could go either way. So let's look at the wide receivers. Who's got that break? Nico and Brian Thomas Jr. versus T. Higgins and Malik Neighbors. Again, two very close tiers, but I would give that slight advantage to Chad. Trey McBride is better than most tight ends in the league, especially Hunter Henry, your flex. George Pickens I like significantly more than DJ Moore. So, Chad, I'm giving you the dub. Nate, Spencer, you're the next matchup. Looking at positional advantage as I've done with every other matchup, I'm looking at Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes. I would take that 10 out of 10 times. That is, Josh Allen is just incredible. I went up against him last week. I think Nate had said in the group chat, he's a cheat code. He is incredible. Running backs, I think these are two very, very close tier. I think Bijan going up against the Vikings could get shut down. Christian McCaffrey against New Orleans is going to destroy. Especially with Mac Jones being quarterback. I think Mac Jones is just going to feed the ball to Christian McCaffrey until CMC's legs fall off. So I'm going to give that edge to Spence. Wide receivers, Tyreek Hill and A.J. Brown against JSN and Devontae Adams. Sorry, Spence, but until I see something from Tyreek Hill, that's just a non-factor for me. I know he's projected 12 points, which is crazy pants to me, but that edge goes to Nate there. Tight ends, Laporta versus Kelsey. It could go either way. Kelsey could be good with Xavier Worthy out. I'll give that edge to you. Flex, Emeka Buka, Zay Flowers, I think they're about on the same tier. This matchup could go either way. I think it kind of depends on Spencer if Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce do something against Philadelphia. I don't think they will, so I'm giving that win to Nate. Finally, Mark and myself. just again looking at positional matchups, we've got Jaden Daniels against Lamar Jackson, two very equal tier quarterbacks. I think Lamar is better. There's no getting around it. Running backs, Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley. I think Mark has the positional advantage with Saquon. However, his backup running back is Austin Eckler, who is technically the backup running back in Washington, so I'm not too afraid about that. I'll give myself the running back kind of tier advantage. Wide receivers, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Ted McMillan against Debo and Rashid Shaheed. I'm giving myself that positional advantage as well. Tight ends, if George Kittle had stayed healthy, I would have given myself that advantage. However, you do have Hawkinson. I don't know how Hawk will do with JJ under center. It'll be interesting to see. I think the first week was just he was kind of scripted out of the game, but who knows? It could go either way. I do think Hawk is better than Juwan Johnson, so I'll give you that positional advantage. ETN versus Jordan Mason, I'll give myself that one. Jacksonville just traded away Tank Bigsby, their number 2 running back to Philly for a 5th and a 6th rounder. So Travis is basically the only running back in Jacksonville, and he just crushed for 143 yards. So I'll give myself that advantage, and so I'll give myself that win just because that's how biases work, right? And that's it for me, boys. Appreciate you guys. Good luck this week. Have a good one.